So welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning I'm delighted to have with us Andy Gillett, who's the Joint Manager Director at Fretwell Print and Direct Mail. So Andy, firstly, thank you for spending some time with us this morning. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and your company to the audience and how you help people, that would be really great.
Sure, yeah. I'm Andy Gillett, Joint Manager Director of Fretwell Print and Direct Mail. We are a print production company that also does a lot of direct mail. We work mainly in the third sector and we work with a lot of the big names, both here in the UK and in Ireland. So if you've heard of a lot of the charities, you've got from the big names at the top, the Oxfams, the UNICEFs, Irish Red Cross, and then you've got breast cancer care. You've got lots of other hospices that we do work with, and lots of people like Operation Smile who do the sort of the cleft lip surgeries, and both here and all around the world. And at the moment, we're looking at some emergency stuff for the disaster in Turkey and Syria. For a number of the charities are looking at getting in touch with their donors to get the income in to do the good works that they do down there. But we're also a financial services print, and we print for the majority, the Santanders, the Barclays, the Avivas, AXA, to name but a few, and MBNA and Capital One credit card companies. So anybody who needs financial services print. But we also work for a lot of local companies too. The little health and safety guy across the road has his leaflets done, and he goes and does his forklift training courses and what have you. So we've got a good mix of what we do. So we are a commercial printers with a slant towards direct mail, but we can tackle most items.
Wow, that's amazing. As we were saying before we started, it's great to see how many brilliant businesses right on our doorstep doing things nationally with some really well-known names, and it's great to see that you're mobilised.
One of Ireland's biggest mailers operates out of a little factory in Keighley. So little factories, 15,000 square feet. It's not a little place, but yeah.
That's not little. No. That's amazing. They're just great, and great to see you mobilising so quickly to help some of your clients with the work in Turkey, because that's looking really horrible, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done this sort of thing regularly over the years, and we do most of their newsletter mailings and all their support donation stuff and legacy work, which is a big part of the charity sector. They get a lot of their income from the legacy, which is basically what people leave them in wills.
Right, got you. Amazing, absolutely amazing. So, if could you tell us a little bit more about your background? How you got into business and why this particular one?
Yeah, I go right back to my childhood. My dad was the maintenance manager at Fields, the packaging company in Bradford, which is still there, and they were making chocolate boxes and whiskey cartons in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid. And I ended up at Grattan and got onto their management training course and finished up in the publications department. So I was buying several £1 million worth of print when I was sort of 19, 20. And saw all these guys coming in to see us with nice shiny suits and lovely flash cars, and thought, I'll have some of that. So I went and jumped the fence and went out on sales in the early 90s, and sort of done the rounds until 95. I landed here at Fretwell Print and Design, and basically it was a smaller company in those days, and it just had a bit of a rocky time with a big bad debt which had hurt them. But we rebuilt the company, and now we're looking towards turning over £6 million this year. So it's been a slow but steady growth over 28 years. It is now.
Fabulous, absolutely brilliant. And so, was this sort of, I guess, was this something you always thought you might be doing, or did you have other dreams and goals when you were?
Really, I fell into it. I mean, when I started at Grattan, I was just basically, my mum worked there. She worked in finance there, and she got me a job on the shop floor, and I was sorting parcels. But at the time I was playing rugby, and it was like having a full week in the gym, because literally chucking parcels over each shoulder and doing that for sort of 6 months before I got on the management training course, which was, they took a load of A-level leavers in and basically put them in place to train them as the managers of the future. They were the management, the apprentices, or interns or however you want to describe it nowadays. But it was a fantastic foundation because basically at that day, Grattan was right at the state of the art. I mean, everybody looks at Amazon now and says, "Oh, look at the black warehouses." Well, we had that in the 80s at Grattan. They had robots putting pallets away in a new £1 million or £1 million-square-foot warehouse, and they had automated pick and pack and till
Yeah.
trays with barcodes, and we were pushing the boundaries. And if they hadn't have sort of missed the boat a little bit on the internet shopping explosion, they could have really taken advantage because they had all the basics there.
Yes.
And you look back and think, I mean, they merged with Next, and Next Directory was launched, and I was heavily involved with that, with a team on that. I got all the operational print, the boring jobs, and one of my old colleagues got the glamorous bit, going to Italy and sitting on press passes with fabric swatches and sticking fabric swatches into the catalogues. But that was the sort of something I say we're quite proud of. We got the catalogue out of launched in 3 months, sort of absolute panic time, running down to Leicester because there was no electronics and stuff in those days. It was all press passes and getting proofs approved by George Davis because he was a control freak and would, the little card that went through the letterbox to say we tried to deliver your parcel and you weren't in. He had to personally approve, so I had to drive to Leicester on Christmas Eve to get that approved and then press pass it on Boxing Day. It was just, they were stressful days, but you learned and you came out the other side. And we got built my sales career on having seen some of the best come in and try and sell to me, and taking a little bit from each of them and using the best bits and understanding people, because at the end of the day everything can be as electronic and as you want, but people still want to buy from people who they trust, and knowing that they're a safe pair of hands, or they can make the client, as we call it, wear a pair of Bridget Jones knickers to make sure their arse is covered.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. What a story, and what a background. And with your current business, so even going back further, but what are some of the biggest issues you say you've had to overcome?
Well, as I say, during the pandemic, I mean, we did a lot of work in hospitality and the pub and restaurant and hotel trade, and that all disappeared.
Yes.
And also anything to do with travel basically stopped for the thick end of 2 years because it just wasn't happening. But parts of our business where it was the third sector, the charity and non-government organisations, had to switch very heavily onto direct mail during the pandemic because there was no way that a charity could raise funds by people sitting in baths or beans or running marathons or whatever. They literally only had really one route to fundraising, which was direct mail. So that basically had a little bit of a very boom in that in the last 2-3 years. And we've had a very, very loyal customer base. I mean, we used to go to Ireland every 6 weeks, and we haven't been since the 4th of February 2020 was our last trip over there. But yet we've got 95% of the business we've had there previously is still intact, and we're actually adding new clients now because people know us as a safe pair of hands. We've done their work and done it so well and looked after them, and more of an advisory sell. It's not a pushing selling business. It's you've got something to gain. You need to get your donors to be aware of the good works, and so we help you do that efficiently and advise on postal rates and talk about increasing numbers for certain mailings to get it over a minimum mailing to get a much better postal rate, which can virtually pay for the print items, because on any mailing the postal element might be at the wholesale rates at 30-40 pence or 30-40 cents if it's into Ireland, when the print elements might only be 10-15 cents of the pack. And so the advice on the postage can quite often save the value of what we're adding in terms of the printed items. So it's why, when there's a lot of expertise here and we understand all the postal systems both in the UK and Ireland, we can do an advisory sell and basically quite often surprise people with us saying, "Oh, we've been sending it out ourselves and putting stamps on it." I'm like, whoa, do you realise for the price of the stamp you can have the whole pack, the brochure, the leaflet, the envelope, the leaf letter, the reply envelope, and the sort of some of the smaller charities, they're astounded. Some of the larger ones know that, but
Yeah,
they want advice on a next step on how do we run a campaign? Should we do a follow up? Should it be a postcard? Should it be, you know, and we advise based on old marketing principles: test, control, measure, get your results in, see what it's actually earned, and refine for the next time to try and make sure the next time's
brilliant.
campaign is more successful and generates more income to do the good works. And the small amount, I mean, most charities, you know, will raise £10 for every pound they investment in direct mail.
Yeah,
So it's, you know, it's very, very cost effective way of raising funds.
brilliant, brilliant. And you mentioned something there that a lot of people that we work with aren't aware of, the simple principle of test, as you said, test, control, and measure marketing. Yeah. If you don't know the return on investment you're getting, then it's just gambling.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
I mean, we help spread best practice amongst all the clients so that
Brilliant.
they understand, you know how to get the best results. Because at the end of the day, they're spending hard-earned cash with the hope of creating more cash, and it's all to do, you know, to do good works. I mean, that there's, you know, the length and breadth of charities and hospices and what have you. And the one thing that sort of makes us is when we get the email come back in, hey Andy, that campaign's raised €2 million, and you sort of go, wow, they spent €40,000 on the campaign and it's raised it's sort of it just one of those that you know that hit the right donor base at the right time. They've got, you know, some fantastic supporters. I mean, they're right across homeless charities, international charities, you know, things that do, like, you know, Simon on the Streets in Cork or Dublin, and they're literally taking homeless people off the streets, and they're doing that. Or there's, you know, we deal with some other charities like Merchants Key, who are basically a charity that deals with the drug addiction problem, and they get people into rehab and get them back into lifestyles. And a lot of their employees were previous users of their service, and they sort of almost self-generating their own staff who have the understanding of the problem. And you say, yes, I have been there. I did get off heroin, you know, and you see them getting the results and getting people back into normal sort of social lives. You're thinking, wow, you know, they're doing such great work. And you know, and then you've got UNICEF, who are basically looking to raise money to buy medicines for the children in Yemen that are getting shelled and bombed. That is not really on the big news radar at the moment, but it's still going on out there. And then there's work in Sudan that Concern are doing, where they're basically getting farmers through the famine. They're not just feeding them, they're buying them replacement cattle, they're buying them goats, they're buying them more hardy creatures that can survive the harsh things, so that they're buying them, you know, chickens and things like that, just so they, you know, they can, you know, the old adage is, you know, don't feed people, teach them to fish, so that they can survive. Yeah.
Brilliant. Really incredible. It must be rewarding for you to know you're part of helping that whole process.
It helps because, I mean, the people here are invested in what's going on.
Yeah.
And when you can see such a result there, I mean, it does give us pride in what we do, and we want to do more of it. And we like the fact that we can help and influence these people to get better results. And if they're getting better results, they come back, and the next campaign's bigger. We need to get more. We need to do more. Because, you know, there are issues that are ongoing in the world, particularly as we can see in Turkey and Syria at the moment, that need immediate funds to go out there and fund. You know, tents need to be bought, warm clothing needs to be sourced. All that sort of, you know, takes time and effort, and having a slick and organised donation fundraising situation, and, you know, the ways, and, you know, I mean, even a little sort of thing which we preach to some of the charities out there is, when they do a mailing, they put a BRE in the pack for somebody to send back the form to say, you know, and they want gift aid and they want have you, and that's great, but they still get an amount of people that'll just literally put a 5, 10, 15 euro or pound note in an envelope and send it back. So we get them to put a match code on it. So when they get that envelope back, they do know it was Mrs. O'Leary in Dublin that actually sent it back, so they can keep them on the list, because they know they're reacting to it
Yep.
but they're doing it in their own way. But
Brilliant.
it's just something as simple as that can help them trace, because they think, oh, didn't get a response from these people, so we'll drop them off our supporters list. When
Yes.
they actually have got a response, but it was just an envelope with a 5, 10, 20 euro note in it.
Brilliant.
But you tell the other charities about it and say, look, it only costs, pence less than a couple of pence a pack. Then you can do that, and it'll help you maintain. It says, well, so most of them actually analyze it. So you realize, yeah, we got 15,000 euros back just in cash, and from a 200,000 mailing. It's not saying, well, and we do need to know who these people are, so we can keep contacting them and do it that way.
Brilliant. Absolutely incredible. And what would you say some of the biggest learnings you've had about business and growing your business and doing business?
Biggest thing is the old adage that treat people how you want to be treated.
Yes.
Because if you're fair, honest, and straightforward with them, hopefully it reflects back. And basically, we treat customers as we wanted to be treated as a customer.
Yep.
And the old adage of you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You should listen twice as much as you talk.
Yep. I completely agree with that one. It's in everything we do. Obviously, as a coaching organisation, coaching very much is about asking questions and listening, not telling people what to do. Because most people we meet don't want to be told what to do. They're already experts in their own business. It's just helping people.
You find the pain points. What's causing you problems? Yes. What's causing you issues? And what can we do about it to make life easier? I mean, basically, the whole essence of sales in a very early career is first rule: don't sell. Yeah. Second rule: listen and solve problems. Solve problems, and you've been much more successful than I can't go and knock on a door and say, "Do you want to buy some 4-page A5 leaflets?" and sort of. No, why would I? You go and talk to somebody and ask them, what's your issue? And with a guy who's runs PE planning, and our advice to us saying, well, get yourself some lists of school headmasters or sports from things, and then you want to contact them. He says, I've tried, never get looked at, but if you put a piece of print into there which advertises your services, tells them how they can contact you, and basically it gets a really good response. They've cut down the number of PE teachers, so the teachers would subscribe to his service, which is an online service where it works because they've got limited time and effort, and they're looking for a response. We contact them because quite often there's a turnover in teachers, and the new PE master might not know about it. So he still revisits, lapsed customers or people that have not subscribed first time round, because the more you get your brand in front of them and you hit them at the right time, a piece of print can be left on the side and viewed at 3-6 months later when they've got a problem.
Yes. Yeah.
You've long forgotten an email you never opened in the first place, but there's that print and direct mail sells products.
Yep. Yes.
Or services or whatever it is. Yeah. It's a direct communication. Even the young ones now, the millennials or Generation Z or whatever, are actually excited to receive a piece of good promotional direct mail through the post. If the target's right, the message is right, and the call to action's good, you get a result. I mean, you can spend as much money as you want on search engine optimization and what have you, and you say, but can you measure the actual result where print still works and still delivers great results?
I completely agree. That it's something we talk to a lot of our clients about, in that point of, because there is a lot less direct mail and print being sent through the post, the people that use it are getting better results because it's the only piece. And it's great to receive mail, isn't it? There were years ago when it's got to be
the right thing. I mean, we talk about in days of old, it was a blunderbuss and they hit everybody with the same thing. Nowadays, targeted, personalised direct mail, which is relevant to the recipient, works and gets much higher response rates and better conversion rates, because it's like the same as my selling attitude is saying, well, there's no point sending something that's for driving, for cars to somebody who doesn't drive. They've got no interest. But so you do your research, you get your data to the
Yep.
right target person, and so I'll say, oh, they're coming up 2 years, 6 months into their lease of their car. It's due up in 6 months. So now's a good time to introduce your brand, to take them from a BMW to a Lexus, or from a Vauxhall to a Ford, or whatever. But you do it, we call it using a marketeer's sniper's rifle to knock off a target. You're more than likely to hit it.
Yeah.
And if you can tie that in with a campaign, if somebody's been into a dealership and looked at a black 3 Series BMW, when the direct mail hits them and it's got a picture of a black 3 Series, the one that they went to look at,
Yes.
that's going to get much more chance of
Absolutely.
a response than just sending them a random brochure out for something they might not be interested in.
Absolutely, completely agree. And is that something you help people with? Is that sort of creation of the data?
Yeah, that's what we do. We're working in the sort of retail sector. You're looking at aiming for the right sort of people, depending on whatever product it might be. It's all about, in this age, if the client's got hold of the right data, we can execute that data and make it work for them, and sit down and plan a campaign. I mean, we've just had our first conversation this week with Yorkshire Air Ambulance, and hopefully they're going to be coming on board as a new, because they're going to start using the direct mail, direct marketing world, that think they're doing a little door drop first. But the thing being is they approached us on Friday at 3 o'clock, and Nick, one of my sales guys, went to see them on Monday morning. So we're responsive, and can show them what's out there, and they can say, oh yeah, I like that idea. Can we have a quote for 5,000 of those to see if it'll work for us in a door drop area. And little did I know, they were actually, their head office is literally 250 yards from where I used to live about 20 years ago. So,
absolutely brilliant. You're probably aware we're a coaching organisation, a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with are, whether that's in business, sports, or life in general, and what would make them so.
Recently, I did a 3-month stint with the Alternative Board.
Right. Yeah.
And Dave McCartney was on there, and he said, he came and helped give us some help with a business plan, and he'd had large corporate experience with KPMG and God knows whatever else, and he was involved with Procter Gamble and a few. So I said, but he said, whatever size of business you are, he says, it's plan, measure. It's all, do the basics, and make sure your team on the sales side are doing that, and you do your SWOT analysis and look at where your strengths, weaknesses, what you need to work on, what you're really known for, and we've managed to keep our brand so at the front of the charity sector in Ireland, and we haven't been for coming up. Well, it's just over 3 years now, and you're sort of going, but we are going to get back in there, because we know we've actually got a lot of potential new business over there that we need to still go out and see, because even though we're dealing with sort of like 50 different charities over there must be 100, 150 to go out. So there's still a lot out there, and the competition in Ireland isn't as fierce as it is in the UK. They tend to have a very relaxed attitude in sort of production companies. Nobody works 24 hours. We work single shift. If we need any more capacity, we'll buy another machine and work single shift on that. And I'm going, are you mad? How do you cost that? We've got one machine, it works 24 hours. And basically, it was 1.35 million quid. I've got to make it sweat and make it earn its corn.
Yes.
So if you're going out and just buying another one of those and sitting it alongside it, your hourly rate must be through the roof, because you're not going to earn the volume, because you'll be paying the same finance rate just in euros as we are in the UK. But so it's a slightly less crowded marketplace has enabled us to basically go around. I mean, we've held a lot of sponsorship things, we've sponsored awards, we've done the right things, and basically until 2020, get them regularly in the pub having a drink, talking about things, and we had sort of like open forums. We'd get 20 or 30 buyers just in a bar, put a bit of food on, and just have a chat and basically find out their issues, and then discuss solutions, and sort of go away with some meetings for the next day or the next trip or whatever. And that's sort of been, we've built our reputation. And we had the sales guy that originally opened it retired in 2019, and we hired a floor on a pub, and we had something like 200 people turn up. And the bar bill was extortionate, but it was well worth it. And the thing is, all the clients kept on there. So we've got there, every client is our advocate whenever they go for another job. Because a lot of they're on fixed term contracts, 2-year contracts, and they're working at Irish Red Cross one minute, then Irish Cancer the next, then the hospice here or the hospice there. And first thing they do whenever they go to a new position, if we're not already dealing with them, is hopefully they pick the phone up and say to the team or myself, can you help us with this? And the answer is always yes.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. No, it's just great to hear. A lot of the things you talk about are things that we often work with businesses on, and it's a lot of them. For many businesses, they're almost counterintuitive. It's selling is about telling. Well, it's not. It's about asking. It's, as you already said, it's
listening.
It's collaborative. It's listening, and it's just great to hear. And no surprise that's added to your success. You mentioned a couple of favourite sort of quotes earlier, but do you have any other favourite quotes or sayings that you fall back on a regular basis?
Probably you sort of say, the big thing is, I use a lot of things in yourself. Basically, stories of success for other people is basically, if it's the first time they've heard it, they might have heard it before. They might have even say, yeah, I understand. So, well, yeah, and I can back it up with things and say, right, well, here's the pack that did it. And they go, oh, what's special about it? I said, well, you see that little post-it note that's handwritten and stuck on there? It says it is handwritten, it's not pre-printed, but we've got a girl there. But we only do that for the high net worth ones because they're worth putting that effort in.
Yes.
It's you want to say, look, thank you, Mr. X, for your £5,000 donation last year. If you could give us 10 this year, this is what we can do. And the high percentage of it, you're speaking to an audience that has got that ability. And if you sort of almost like a little bit of sharp elbows and get yourself to the front of the queue, then they can help. And they take pride in sort of almost like say, oh, I can, because it's not just a blind message. It's if you can do this for me, we can do this. We can save X lives in this, or we can provide a new, herd of cows in Somalia for this family that's got 10 or 12 children that are currently starving. We're not just going to feed them. We're going to supply, restart their lives so that, in the next 5 years, they won't be having to ask again.
Yep. Absolutely brilliant.
But it's like, I like me. Sort of these things is, it's 2 ears, 1 mouth, and there's a reason. But treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
But basically, it says, listen. Bridget Jones Knickers cover their arse. Get the account manager who's under pressure from his boss. Make sure that we challenge what they're saying and help them. Basically, we become a consultant that helps them do their job, because in fact we're doing part of it for them, because they don't have to be experts in how to get the cheapest postal price. Well, on that envelope, you need to leave a clear zone around here. So we'll look at the design you've sent us and do a redesign, send it over, say, look, this will save you, 10 cents a pack. And they're, right. And that's sort of where, if people are saying, oh, shame they haven't done it that way, they could have done that. Well, why haven't you told them? Yeah, but it's, and we do a lot of what we call data cleansing, where sell that service, and we're doing ourselves out of work because we're going to cut down the amount we're going to mail, but we're going to get a better result. They're going to have more money in the kitty for next time, and if they believe in what you do, they'll spend it with you to get that better response. So we go out and say, oh, you can, it's definitely a no-no. You should never mail anybody that's deceased, because that's offensive and can do your brand damage. So always take them out. We're always up to date. We're never more than a week out of date with the deceased register. There's various mortar screens and what have you. You can have gonaways. If your long-time supporter has moved house and not told you, on a gone away, we can do two things. We can just take them off the list. But the better option is to track it and find out where they've gone to and offer them that service. And look, we can give you the new address for that thing. We've got to pay Experian X pence a record for it, but surely it's one of your donors and you know how much value that donor's been to you.
Yeah.
Is it not worth 23p to get them back on your new list at their new address? And it's working sort of collaboratively and doing that sort of thing. It's like you say, sitting in their shoes, and what would you do if you were running that business?
Yeah, that makes absolute perfect sense. And what would you say you've learned about yourself during your journey, Andy?
Keep learning. Every day is a school day. I mean, that's one of the things. Every day is a school day. You'll learn something and sort of think, well, never thought of that, or I'll store that one up for next time. And I mean, passing on tips, and I mean, our sales team, I mean, both of them are very, very experienced. We've got a lady who's been out on sales for some years, and she's worked both for direct companies and for some of the big print managers, and learn a lot of the things. But the adage is still true. You've got to find the right person for what we do, and a lot of the time is also the right way of operation. That sort of work with the good guys. We don't want to work with somebody who's going to come up and say, "Oh, I can get that 50p cheaper every time," and you start saying, "Well, yeah, I can understand that, but what we do and the value we bring to this is the fact that we're putting extra effort into it. We're not just a sausage factory turning it out and that's good enough. That'll do. No, we want to get you better results, and that's why you will pay us 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% more to do a better job, because the return on your investment is still there." And sell the added value of our guys knowing what they're doing better and thinking, we act as, say, look, treat us as your production outfit, because that's what we are. We're there to be as heavily involved in. We do a lot of knitting pattern stuff, because the company originally came from the 60s, from International Wool Trade News and published magazines in the trade. We still print every knitting pattern and book for one of the biggest outfits in there, King Cole. And we do it from setting the knitting patterns, which is a real technical job, because if you ever look at a knitting pattern, you think, what the hell does all this mean? It's a P1, see this, 17, that. But we've got two a guy and a girl in the business who have got experience in that and been setting them for 10, 12 years plus. But we take books and we get supplied some world-class photography, because they get some really good photographers to take, and it's the garments that they're selling. And we get some really cracking designers, but they're not experts. They tend to be of the more senior generations, but they send us in printed documents, Word files, just with straight text in there, and we'll turn that into something that looks some professional books. We got some cracking stuff for. They launched a real premium range, which was like a merino mixed wool, where it was like £20 a ball for the wool. If you were knitting your own jumper, you needed 160 quid worth of wool before you even dived into the jumper. But we did these, and these things have been sold all around the world and sort of thing. Madonna's a keen knitter when she's not having a face planted with Botox and what have you, but there's lots of sort of celebrity knitters out there that are getting higher, and who does fancy ball band labels that are gold foiled and what have you, because these are the premium products in their marketplace. They can be traceable wool that goes back to the sheep. You sort of say, yes, it was the third sheep on the left in Masham that provided that wool that you've just knit that jumper out of.
I was speaking to, I think it's Joe Dawson at HT Wool recently, and they're very much into that traceability. That was fascinating.
We're just doing some work for British Wool Marketing Board at the moment.
Brilliant. Great. I mean, it's amazing. Obviously, you said mainly third sector, but obviously you've got what a broad approach that you have, which is
So probably 40% of the business is involved in direct mail, and the rest of it is commercial print and also luxury packaging.
right. Oh well, goodness, it's
Yeah. So I say the sort of promotional stuff that we do, and we also print a lot of little tiny boxes that have cosmetic products in, or they have little vape things. We got a company that wanted to reshore all its stuff from China, and been getting it cheap in China, but it was pilot high, sell it cheap from China, and they often had changes of makeup and the components within the actual thing, and the compliance for different countries changed, and they were throwing a lot of stuff away. I said, "Oh yeah, we buy these 100,000 at a time, so what? But you're throwing 40,000 away." I says, "So in terms of the cost between having it UK produced and what's just UK, just produce what you need, and you produce every version with its own individual language on there. You're not trying to put 12 different on on a carton that's tiny. And okay, yeah, the cost per unit has gone up by 45% compared with getting it done in China. But in China, your 8-week lead times become 16, 24, 36, and don't know. Paper costs are a don't know. So you can't get a price or a delivery. How do you run your business?" It says, if you produce it in the UK, you can have it in a fortnight. You can have smaller quantities. You're not waiting for a container to set off.
brilliant.
Our little transit van can come over with, half a pallet. It didn't have to have a 40-foot, a 40-foot container
Brilliant.
full. And
Brilliant.
they sort of, oh yeah, and they've expanded the range. And when we did a little thing, we said, well, what happens to the carton when it gets to the end user? Oh, they just open it and stick them on a shelf. I says, well, if we incorporated a perforation and a little tear thing, we can make it into a presentation product. So they literally goes in a box, rip the top half off, and it's got a, it sits in a dispenser, sort of, keeping the brand promotion at the front, and
Brilliant.
redesign a few of these and sort of put promo bits at the front. So I said, and I said, once we've got that cutter, there's no more cost. It doesn't cost anymore because it's just part of the cutter.
Yeah.
And being able to sort of advise and work alongside people can give them a better result for their business. And they're now sort of saying, I'm really pleased we're paying 40-50% more for our boxes because we're getting more from it, and it's going out into the small retailers. And we've designed some other boxes which have a really narrow footprint so that they can get 10 flavors in a 12-inch space, because the boxes are only one thing wide, but they put the flavor on the front, open it up, and people can immediately see it's promoting. And it says it's grown sales because we did something to the packaging.
Brilliant.
And it's sort of like, that's when you sort of get, that's why you want to deal with us rather than the guy you can go online and have your box printed, and because you don't get any advisory consultative to help your business grow and do more.
Brilliant. I your passion for this just comes out, time and time again.
I say it took me 3 years to become a director here, but in 2018, I actually, with the production manager, bought the business from the retiring three. There were 4 directors. Brilliant. 3 of them retired in September 2018, and we've taken the business on. So it wasn't probably the best time to do it when the pandemic hit 18 months later, but came out the other side. We paid off our deferred payments. We took some deferred payment to pay the 3 directors out, and we paid them off 10 months early. Brilliant. Even with the pandemic going out there, and so it worked. It worked well for them. They got the retirement they'd earned and deserved, and we got control of the business.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So, looking forward, Andy, what does the future look like for you guys, and what do you see as the main challenges, if any?
Main challenge is basically, for me at the moment, is getting me out of the business when I'm 60, and that's sort of less than 2 years away. But we've got a succession plan, and we're hoping, with the backing of our finance people, is to create an employee on trust.
Yes.
Where
interesting
4 or 5 employees currently employed get the backing of the bank to basically buy myself and Gareth out, so we can. I mean, we may still be involved in an advisory, or
Yep.
might stay as honorary chairman or whatever, or just to sort of let the next generation pick up the reins and drive the business forward.
Brilliant.
And they are the sort of the admin team, the sales team, the customer service team, and some of the production management guys that have been here. Well, Steve in our pre-press is younger than me, but he's been here since he left school. So he's got 30 years in. And
Yep.
we've got lots of people with 10, 12, 15, 20 years, because it's the sort of business, if you're buying into what we do and how you do it, you know, it's somewhere you stay a long time, because you can see. I mean, we invest in the best equipment and great people. It's a bit of a scruffy shed in Keighley, but it's practical and it works, and the overheads are good, because you've got to be able to compete. You've got to keep an eye on your overheads, but you've got to be at the forefront. I mean, the new press we bought was Heidelberg's demonstration press out of their showroom, so it had every whistle and bell. I mean, we make ready in 3 minutes 42. When I first arrived here, a make ready was an hour, and 10 years ago it was half an hour, and now it's 3 minutes 42, because it's fully automated and all the plates go on automatically. And we can run straight to maximum speed on the thing. It's push to stop now on the production, rather than, you know, we've got competitors that are still trying to survive on 1990s equipment, where they're making ready in 45 minutes and running at 6,000 and 7,000 an hour,
Right.
where we're done it in 342 and run at 15,000 an hour. We're on the third job and they're still not running on the first job yet.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know, it still is a cost-driven business.
Yeah.
But we hope to be able to use our expertise to add value and, you know, make a little bit of money. We don't make a lot of money, because we're not that, but we want to be here. The 42 people we were involved with when we took over, there's probably still 36 of them involved in the business. We've got a staff now of 48 plus the 2 directors. But, you know, a very, very, you know, loyal and static workforce that's the strength of the business, because they know what they're doing and they do it well.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And what would you say, Andy, to anyone that was thinking of going into business right now?
Don't do it.
I'm sure that's
No,
not the case.
but pick your marketplace, know your customers, and always have a plan B, C, D, E, right through to Z, Z, because circumstances change. I mean, we get things that change every day. I mean, we sort of say, looking at some of your long and trusted customers have gone to the wall recently, and you're sort of looking why, and you see, well, their customer base disappeared, or they relied too heavy on one industry. Learn from others' mistakes, because basically you'll make mistakes, but the thing being is, it's not got to stop you making decisions. You've got to make positive decisions regularly, allowing that some of them will be wrong. And when you get one wrong, make sure you learn from it and don't make the same mistake twice. That's another adage. My first boss in Grattan said, he says, I'll forgive you any mistakes or any human errors. He says, just don't make them more than once, because if you're not learning your lesson, every mistake is a learning experience. And where, I mean, we put that into our ISO 9001 system, where log it, get to the root cause, find out what it is. I mean, it's not a blame game. It's not going about to beat the guy on the press. Why have you printed that wrong? He didn't do it wrong on purpose, but he needs either, is there another check we should be putting in, or should somebody else be taking some responsibility and saying, you know, here's the dummy, here's the thing, you know, here's, you know, when you're running this job, get the production director to sign it off, because it's so complicated and tricky, and you've got to make sure you're absolutely clear with the instructions. It's, you know, it's measure in business.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a scrappage value of about 5 or 6% when we set off on our ISO journey about 2007. It was less than 1% last year. 4% of your turnover in scrappage is an awful lot of money.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's the difference between making a profit and not.
Yes, but I completely agree. Completely agree. And what advice would you give to an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do so?
I wish I knew what I knew then, but I'd probably have followed a very similar footpath, but I might have been able to get further up the scale a bit earlier because of what I know now. If I knew that at 21, for instance, you sort of going, yeah, could have had a longer, easier career in but the thing is, it says go out and get as much experience as you can from big PLCs, but also don't dismiss the sort of the smaller company that can grow into a marketplace and be successful, and actually be happy to take as many people on with the journey with you, because basically you will need other people to help you succeed. You can't do everything yourself, but wise people who will offer their advice or just life experience, because that's, and take some of it with a pinch of salt. It's not applicable to your area. And some people do it just for, their own purposes rather than genuinely wanting to mentor somebody. I mean, I was lucky. The first manager I worked for at Grant was an ex-sales director working in a purchasing area and had really wide knowledge, and basically I sort of think learned an awful lot from him.
Brilliant.
Honesty, straightforward, and his best piece of advice he ever gave me: hire people better than you.
Yeah.
Because that way you'll succeed. He said, don't be afraid of admitting that you don't have to be the best at everything. You just have to make the best decisions to hire the right people at the right time into the right role.
And be the best leader. Absolutely.
Empower people to succeed on your behalf. When they're getting something out of it, you're getting something out of it, they're much more likely to want to do it. And some of the guys here sort of say, we don't enforce people to come in on overtime and what have you. But like I'm saying, I've got a workload. One of the guys will come in 2 hours on a Saturday morning before he goes to play golf, because says, I'm getting up early. I'm not teeing off till 9:30. I'll do a couple of hours quiet when the phones aren't ringing, sorting something out. And that's really valuable to him.
Yeah.
So, brilliant. So, well, next time you want a Friday afternoon off to go play golf, fine. Take some of those hours back. And that's sort of give and take in that sort of role. So people sort of like, we've got one of the lads who shares childcare with his missus. His missus has got a high-powered job in the centre of Leeds, so he has to do a lot of picking up. And what have you said? Well, on a Monday, can I work this while that? And on a Tuesday, can I finish early to go do that? But on Wednesday, I have no childcare because my mum picks the kids up. So I'll do 6 because I'll put those hours back. And he said, yeah, of course you can.
Yeah.
We've got a young lady who commutes by train from Settle, and you can imagine the amount of crap she's had on the train service over the last 3 to 6 months. So with a cracking big screen laptop and a VPN, she can successfully work from home. And it's not, you don't even have to ask. Yeah, I know and trust you to, in fact, you get more hours if she logs on from, earlier when she's working from home, and we'll work till later. But trust people, empower them, and let them shine. And they've built the Irish situation. It's been, since the sales guy left in 2019, we haven't had a frontline sales guy going to Ireland, but the account director, the account manager, the account execs, and me at times have gone over and built those relationships, because people still deal with people, and they've seen that Mike's the account director, but he's actually live running most of one of the big clients' campaigns.
Yeah,
he knows them inside out and backwards. It's like we went into the biggest client we have over there, and it's like speed dating. He had 2 hours with the client, but we saw 12 people. So it's like 10-minute speed dates, catching up with the campaigns. Oh, we're doing that, we're doing that. Oh, the Somalia manager's coming in now. Oh, the person looking after Yemen's coming in now. And they're basically, but they all get the same level of service and get, and they know that if we think that that's probably not the best idea, well, you're quite happy to try that test. But your mates over in blah 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 tried it 2 years ago, and it bombed. But you try and just be advisory,
absolutely,
be the consultant, and basically making the mates, because basically people who deal with people because they believe that that you are more than just a supplier, you're an acquaintance, part of the team, that whenever they go anywhere else, the first thing they're going to do is pick up the phone to you. And so they're doing the selling role for you.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, and it's been absolute delight and really fascinating. It's great to see how what the successes that you're having, and they're clearly going to keep growing. And it'd be great to probably swing by in 6-12 months and see the next stage of that process.
We're about to put, we've got a new machine, which is new technology coming in, which is a large format sheet fed inkjet, which is pretty new to the market, which we're going to introduce in the next couple of months. So that's our
brilliant
thing. So we've been working on that in the background, and we've got a nice grant application in from Nicola, which has really helped and supported us. Great lady.
Brilliant.
I wish we'd have known about her 2 or 3 years ago, because she could have really helped in some of the earlier stages. But making a difference to the support from that sort of thing, and hopefully Dave's also building a relationship with the Leeds City College to get some apprenticeships in to get the average age down, because we know biggest challenge is I've got too many employees in the 50s.
Right.
We're starting to get some younger ones in the 30s. I need to get some teens and 20s in here. I mean, there's a lot of technology in there. There's the workflow and the sort of thing. It is, a lot of it is AI and what have you, and it's got an interest, but we just need to get some young blood in at the ground level, and give them the opportunities to grow and change the direction of where we're doing. I mean, we're looking at working with Gareth's son, who's got experience in personalized URLs, and sort of saying, well, we can build that in and build a multi-channel campaign for clients, and sort of offer them personalized landing pages, so that if it's the right person at the high net worth, they can go and look at a page and they can see exactly what their donations have done for that charity, and you're sort of saying, well, would that encourage them to increase the donation? And we believe yes.
Probably, yeah.
So it's something we just need to get some buy-in, get some proper background stuff, bit of research and development, and hopefully our research and development guy will get us a grant for the time and effort we put into it beforehand. So it's a win-win.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, look, again, thank you so much for your time this morning. And if anyone watching this would like to get in touch with you or Fretwell, what's the best way of getting in contact with you?
Email, telephone. Happy to put my email and landline, mobile number on anything. Want to get in touch.
Brilliant.
Happy to do so. I mean, it's just for a chat, bit of mentoring, advice. Very much. I got a lot of help and support from the business community. I was lucky. When I was 18, 19, I was playing rugby for Bradford and Bingley, and a lot of business owners were involved with that. And one of them became my largest customer when I went out on sales. Right. And you sort of say, so contacts you've made through a social situation, and they helped. And the guys within a rugby club were insurance brokers and solicitors and bankers and what have you. And a lot of them, over a pint in the clubhouse, say, oh, you want to go speak to so-and-so? He buys a load of print. And just those sort of soft introductions, the networking of its ilk now, which has been more sort of, I don't know, there's some of them have made it into a business rather than actual, real networking, as I call it. You pay this much, you pay this much a week, pay this much here, and sort of say, yeah, but I'm not getting any results. Oh yeah, but we've done all right. The networking group owners made a fortune, but you want actual results.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, Andy, again, thanks so much for your time, and it'd be great. Yeah, maybe catch up again in another 6-12 months and just see.
Thanks for the invite, Chris.
Been a real pleasure. Thank you.